Welcome to me telling you information and my thoughts on some of the most oddest things in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and my use on odd is just a cover-up word because saying that I'm upset with this is just an understatement, to be honest with you. You got here seeing the title and the thumbnail, so you know that this video is going to be on Heaven Ascension Dio, or Dio over Heaven. Not over heaven as in the light novel, but over heaven as in the form achieved through heaven. Before we get to that, we need context. In JoJo, we know about Dio, bad kid turned vampire, vampire turned barely vampire with his friend's body, and then barely vampire with a time-stopping stand. In part 3, Dio didn't go too much into his ideals, but they were noticed and made very open to us in part 6, where we do see Dio turn into this completely different person from the guy that died in the end of part 3. Stone Ocean was the fight for stopping heaven, but what is heaven and how come trying to stop it didn't work? Well, what is heaven? You can honestly see that in 2 of the videos I've done on heaven. The second one has your answer, but the first one gives you context for the second one. Long story short, it's a certain form achieved through these means of insane acts on religion and all that. The religion of Dio. I'm kidding, but at the same time I'm not really kidding. I'm not so sure. So Dio didn't get to achieve heaven because of part 3, but what if he did? Well, we get that answer in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven. Yes, heaven becomes this ginormous thing to the point of where we're given a game to see what would happen, or well, what did happen technically. Many people like to debate the canonicity of the game due to it being a game, but trust me, it's very real. It's just not real to us. You know how JoJo has a multiverse, and along with that has an infinite amount of parallel dimensions, where the mass of the dimensions, for every action you didn't do, someone else did, and someone else didn't do. There's a universe where you didn't click this video, did click this video, you making this video, and you clicking on the video, but then a shark comes crashing down from wherever you are and watches the video with you because the shark likes JoJo. With how many universes and dimensions there are, the manga and anime is our main universe out of all of the other universes. Or maybe not. Maybe we aren't the main universe, and Araki will tell us all about that in part 9. Who knows? I don't. So there's a universe where Dio won in part 3. He won in part 3, and with the help of his friend Pucci, Dio achieves his long researched and awaited form. So now he goes across universes, killing Joestars, owning worlds, but then he comes across Valentine, getting demolished by the infinite spin, and he stops that for him. Stopping the infinite spin led to Valentine telling Dio about the corpse parts, and then you get the plot of Eyes of Heaven. Now, here's my thing. Dio over Heaven can rewrite reality. Do you know what that means? If being annoyed enough, Dio could turn you into a pair of shoes. If not that, he could resurrect every person to have ever died and have them all individually punch you one by one. Not bringing people back to life as in zombies, I mean bringing them back to their peak human form. You could get the hands from every dynasty to have ever lived in China. Now, can you imagine if Dio over Heaven had Love Train? That would be game over. Dio would become one of the most busted characters in fiction. Well, except for a large amount of characters, because there's a good amount of busted characters in fiction. Shout out to Cthulhu. But Dio would be pretty high up there. The possibilities of what Dio could do for himself with being able to rewrite reality seems limitless, and there's so much potential for Dio, but it's one of those things where it's just, no, you don't have to worry about that anymore. See, I'm a man of plot, but when it comes to certain things like this in JoJo, I can get fed up pretty fast. Dio over Heaven was defeated by Star Platinum over Heaven. Now, it is difficult how to explain how I was feeling when I saw this because it isn't at all how it should work, but for some reason it does work like that. Dio, the man who had been trapped underwater for 90 plus years and came back to the world with a new mindset and new ideals. Along with those new ideals, he went out of his way to go across the world to research more about the world, not only things that we would find on the surface, but even the underground information and rituals that the regular person would not be able to find. That's why he found stands and all that with Enya. He had even compiled a diary on all of this information, which we will never get canonically, and we will never know what was in that diary, well, except for the excerpt that we did see, which could be used by anyone if they could get everything done. So essentially, if everyone wanted to go out of their way to do it in JoJo, they could have achieved heaven and a heaven stand. So if I had seen that happening, yes, I would have been totally fine with that. You know what I'm not fine with? Jotaro achieving heaven. Jotaro hadn't gone out of his way for the research done, nor did he do anything around that level. Dio having the world over heaven made Jotaro just look at him like, oh, I mean, I should be able to do that if we have like the same stand. And then he just does it. He just by looking at it alone, he's just like, oh, okay, I get what's going on right here. So, is Star Platinum not what we think it is? Can Star Platinum just copy everything the world does because they're similar? Because if that's the case, then that's not only terrible on the account that Dio will always lose against Jotaro in the end, that's also terrible because Dio had beaten Jotaro. So even if Dio beats Jotaro, he doesn't beat Jotaro. So I don't know, sooner or later, eventually, basically. I hold Heaven Ascension Dio up with the highest regard for achieving a form through research, planning, and work. Now, originally, I had gave him credit for what I had mentioned, but for having that resulting in attaining a reality-bending ability to the point of where it beats Gold Experience Requiem, the definitive strongest thing in JoJo, it's insane. Dio is the #1 strongest thing that has ever happened to the JoJo multiverse, but was ended by someone that had basically just stole what he did. Jotaro isn't that friend that needed to borrow your homework and made it different to turn it in. No, Jotaro was that person that you barely even knew in the class that needed a presentation to turn in. And then he's like sitting behind you to see everything that you're doing. So not only has he copied what you have worked so hard to do, he's also edited it just to make it better and get a better grade. So, when I'm asked why don't I bring in Heaven Ascension Dio into anything, even though he's actually a thing in canon to the multiverse, it's because I don't like being reminded about Star Platinum over Heaven. It's not like I didn't expect Jotaro to win. I expected that he would achieve a different form through an alternative way, but they both just end up having the same form, same ability. Maybe Dio just came to the wrong universe where this version of Jotaro can just achieve heaven just because, and he should have went to a different universe, but I'm not the one to debate on how they got there. I'm here to tell you what I thought about it, and what I think is that Dio is unfortunate everywhere. I'm guessing that that's what you get when you pick the vampire life. That's just one of the things. If there's any questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm not really sure. It's just me really just talking on all my thoughts about Dio over Heaven. By itself, Eyes of Heaven, there's a lot of thoughts I have on it, and it's actually, I don't shame it or anything like that. I actually pretty enjoy Eyes of Heaven, and I could actually do a video on all my thoughts on Eyes of Heaven as a whole, but for Dio over Heaven, I'm just trying to like avoid that as much as possible. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked it, leave a like. If you guys want to stay updated, subscribe. And if you're just like a new person here, I promise to God, this is not usually how it goes. It just happens to be one of these things. I have other videos. There that goes. You guys see them in the end cards. But hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed. Oh wait, no, I gotta do one last goodbye for someone specifically. Jotaro, eat a dick.